What's going on, ladies and gent? Technical issue starting off. All right. Hey. There we go. As we get started today, it is a lovely Wednesday. It's been beautiful the last couple days here in Texas as the weather has been quite nice. Being middle of June here in Texas, it is starting to get quite hot, which isn't nice. I'm not a fan of the super heat, but honestly, it's not so bad. When you're up and at 'em and you're outside at 7 a.m., it's really not that bad. There's a little cool breeze, a little bit of dew on the ground to keep it cool as well. But this is Switch Up Sports with Mighty Q coming to you. We're on Facebook and Instagram Live. As we get into today's show, it's going to be relatively short. I'm going to have a very shocking take, one that I'm gonna have to remember this day. It's June 17th. I'll have to definitely keep this one archived. Is this one of my takes here in a little bit? It's one for the history books for myself. Gonna have a little bit of NBA, a little bit of NFL, but before we do any of that, as always, you gotta follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, whichever you choose. I know some people like both, or one or the other. So like I said, as we get into it today, we're going to do a little bit of NFL, a little bit of NBA, and I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth. So I want to start with the NFL as kind of the very, current topic. It's right there in the It's the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. Roger Goodell came out, he said that a team, he encourages a team to take Colin in. But my only issue, he hasn't played in 4 years. He is a lot more talented than people thought, but he hasn't played in 4 years. The NFL just needs to come out with an apology and leave it at that. Don't try to force him onto a team. A team does not need to try to force and pick him up. He hasn't played in 4 years. Michael Vick, who is a better quarterback than Kaepernick, missed 2 years. And that first year and a half that he was back was really bad. Now it's a situation where you double the amount of time. And yes, he's been working out. He's been, throwing a football. But that does not match up to playing NFL level football. You can throw to a bunch of people. NFL, what they need to do, just issue an apology and leave it at that. He's been out of the league for 4 years. It's not going to work out well. If you really want to pick up somebody up, pick up Cam Newton. Because Cam Newton played last year, preseason, for one game. But he's been in the NFL and hasn't taken his 4-year sabbatical hiatus, whatever we want to call it, blackballed. Just issue an apology. Don't try to force him onto a team because he's not at this moment good enough to be on an NFL roster. The speed of the game is way too fast. Guys will take off a year and it'll have a huge difference. 2 years, like I said, for Vic, and that was a very big difference. And, we saw a definite decrease in his game. So what is 4 years going to do? You can throw on air as much as you want, but it's nothing like playing an actual NFL game. The speed, the game has changed over the last 4 years. It's not a good situation. And to come in and do all this stuff, he's not going to be a starter. I get that. But just issue an apology. Don't try to force him onto a team. And I'm just going to leave it at that. That's the easiest way to do it. It's just 4 years is a long time. So we'll leave that. I said it's going to be a relatively shorter show, so I'm going to kind of try to a little cut and chop these segments up. As I'm going to switch over to the NBA And Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard have their opinion. LeBron is letting them have their opinion. He wants them to be able to have their opinion. But the thing about it, LeBron's got his stuff in the works. Because Patrick Beverley said it yesterday, 2 days ago. If LeBron wants to play, we're going to play. It doesn't matter. If LeBron wants to play, they're going to play. He's the best player in the league. He's the most transcendent. He's the guy that changes the ratings, the TV numbers. So you know what? If LeBron wants to play, they're going to play. He's close with Adam Silver. He's got things working on the back end. He's trying to make sure that, there's still a season. But with that, he's going to let these guys, say and have their opinion. And at the end of the day, they're going to play basketball. Now, with that, I'm going to kind of take a weird prediction going forward on that. The Houston Rockets will be surprisingly good, just due to having their rest and their time. So, Harden is normally quite tired by the time playoffs comes around. The same with Westbrook. It's just the way that they play, especially on offense. They don't really play too much defense, but the way they play on offense, it just drains a lot out of them. And especially, over a long period of time, doing that for the whole season is normally why, that first playoff series, second playoff series is where you definitely start to see the wear and tear. Especially, we already know it's how the playoff basketball is. They don't get the same amount of whistles. They allow a lot more physical play, and that is a very key piece to Harden's game. Is that very flop style. He plays for the whistle. He goes to the line a lot. He gets a lot of free buckets from getting his free throws. I feel, though, their first series is against Denver, so that should be relatively easy. I think if they had played the normal games and there was no break or anything like that, and this was the matchup, it's gonna be pretty close. I might actually side towards Denver. I'd slightly lean towards Denver. I'd give them like a 52% nod versus the Rockets on that side. And at the end of the day, do I think the Rockets going to win the championship? No. I just think that it'll be exciting. They'll play well in that first round, being well rested, and it's going to be something that they're definitely going to play pretty well in that early go at it. With that, I'm going to go kind of back on the point of the players not wanting to play. Here's the thing. If they don't play, their cap is going to plummet. And not only if they don't play, not only is the cap going to go down, but the owners have the right to rip up the CBA, completely start from scratch. All the things that they've worked for are going to be thrown right out the window, and they're going, "Rup, here you go. We've got all the power. We appreciate it. Thank you. Let's start over." Is that really the league that these guys want to be in? Is that another fight that they want to go through? Do you really want to start back from square one if you don't play any of these games and you go ahead and the CBA gets ripped up? And now, what does the next 10 years look like? Are we going to have a lockout into the next season because it's going to be another type of situation where it's going to take half the season to come to a resolve? You're going to lose half of those games, or you're going to lose more of that revenue, and that more hit to the cap as it's already going to come down? The NBA can't survive that. LeBron won't let. That's the reason why LeBron's pushing for it. LeBron doesn't want that to happen. He understands that his son's going to be coming through the NBA. He doesn't want to have him fighting for that kind of stuff. They already had this fight. They've already gone through. They've had multiple CBA negotiations. And if they don't play, it can be ripped up and start right back from square one. That's not what any of these players need. Because the next 5, 10, 15 years is going to be another fight. And another, little bit here, little give there, little take here. It's just going to be nitpicking and criticizing between the owners and the players for the next 10 years. That's not good for the game. That's not good for the players. That's not good for the owners. I understand you're in isolation, but while you're there, it's not really going to be that terrible. And yes, I do side on the players in terms of, you can be traded at any time and you have to, completely pick up and move your family, and no one takes that into consideration. But going to Orlando and being there for 6 weeks, you're getting a chance to continue to still have your job. A lot of Americans, they don't have that opportunity. You're still getting a chance to play the game that you love. You're getting a chance to, be around your league and your teams and basically the whole culture of the NBA is all going to be in one spot. It's a great bonding time for the entire NBA. And I'm not saying that the players hated each other before. That's not the way it is. But you're not completely alone. It's now a situation where you get to be close with your teammates, and if something's going awry, something like that, you have the entire league there to help you out. You're not completely isolated. That's where, I can understand, not wanting to be in isolation, not wanting to be gone for, anywhere from 6 weeks to, 12 weeks, something like that. That's a very good argument to be made. But with that, you've got your family of the NBA around you. Put your arms around it. Have your teammates. Have them as family. This is going to be some great time to be bonded. And now going forward, for some of those young teams, I think about how good the Pelicans can be if all those young cats come together. And, they just have this great chemistry to where they're on the court. They already know exactly what one another is going to do. That's huge. That's huge. It goes right back to The Last Dance. There's a positive in every negative. Look on the bright side of it. Yeah, you know what? This isolation in Orlando will probably suck. It really doesn't look good. But you're still going to get paid. You're still on contract. You're still getting to play the game you love. You get to be around all your buddies and your teammates who I think that, teammates have always, I've always considered teammates family. And, now moving forward from that, if you're still going to be in this league, you're still going to be on that certain team, it's a plus. You get to have this great now bond. You get to spend a lot of time with your teammates. You haven't really seen them. So that's where, embrace it. Just have fun with it. You know what? You're going to have some guys that contract the virus. You're going to have some situations where they have to sit out games. You're going to see a completely new NBA. You're going to see guys that have never had a chance to play playoff basketball. They're going to be playing substantial minutes because someone contracted COVID. Or, hopefully we don't see, many injuries or any at all because, we hate to see that. But it's a risk. You're going to see some guys go down with injury just because, maybe they didn't stay up with as much conditioning, or maybe they weren't doing as much in, these past couple months. There's a chance for that. So you're going to see a lot of no-name guys getting to play a lot of minutes in playoff basketball. Have fun with it. Let it be. Stop looking for every little nuance that it could go wrong. Yeah, you know what? You're in isolation or Orlando. Okay, great. You're in great weather. You've got different video game stations. You've got a chance to practice and work out. You get a chance to be around mental health professionals. So if you really want to go talk to someone, you can. You get a chance to be around your team, the members of the team, the NBA, everyone around. Come on, man. There's no need to nitpick on this. Because the ramifications, if you decide not to play any games, and then the cap drops, the owners rip up the CBA, and you're right back to square one, which is worse? Go ahead and think about it. Really, which is worse? Square one and fight for 10 years. or have fun, be around the guys, hang out, be with the teams, be with other NBA players, kind of be uncomfortable for 2 months, 3 months, and go on business as usual after this. Yeah, I'll take the second one too. As we go ahead and switch it up on back to the NFL, as I said earlier in the intro, June 17th, I have to write this day down. I'm going to keep this show archived for sure because I have a take that is in support of Baker Mayfield. And it feels really weird to say that, but Baker Mayfield, and this actually goes with my credit though, so I'm kind of still taking a relatively same take. Pro Football Focus is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I can't take any of their stuff serious. They think that Joe Burrow is going to have more passing yards and more passing touchdowns than Baker Mayfield. Who's Joe throwing to? Who's on the offensive line protecting him? Oh, right. Also, this is his first year in the league, right? With a terrible offensive line, no weapons, a bad running game. A defense that is relatively like Swiss cheese, so, he's at least going to get to throw the ball a ton. But he's going up against some really, really good defenses, especially the first half of the season, with a terrible offensive line and a running game that's pretty much non-existent. So Baker Mayfield, I'm in support of you on this one. The fact of they think that Joe Burrow is going to come in the same division, throw for more touchdowns, throw for more yards. What? Like, Pro Football Focus is supposed to be statistics based. It's supposed to have what? How are they coming to this conclusion? This is Joe's first season in the NFL. Most rookies don't just jump out of the gate and throw for 30 touchdowns in their first season. There have been no OTAs. And guess what? Since Joe wasn't hurt, he's not allowed in the building yet. Still hasn't been around the team. Still can't do any of that stuff. So where's that chemistry going to come from? Oh, it's a different system than what was run at LSU. Okay. How long is that going to take to implement? How long is that going to take to be familiar? Oh, and new wording. Oh, also the game got faster. How can you come to this conclusion? And that's where it's really hard to judge rookies coming into the league. But it's really not that hard when you start trying to throw out these so off topics where you're like, yep, he's gonna throw for 28 touchdowns and 4,200 yards. What? Brand new system, first year in the league, no OTAs, terrible offensive line, no running game, a weapon at receiver, and again, not really a weapon because he's a rookie. So where are all these touchdown passes coming from? Because 28 touchdown passes in a season is pretty good. But yet, to Pro Football Focus, I guess that's just thrown around willy-nilly. There's 16 games in a season. That's almost 2 per game. Not a lot of quarterbacks throw 2 touchdowns a game. And the fact that you think that a rookie coming in this year is going to do it. Okay. One that, couldn't beat out Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State. Okay. One that transferred. And his first year that he transferred to LSU, he was pretty bad. And the excuse for him being bad that first year at LSU is, he didn't have all of spring ball. He didn't have all of spring ball to really work with the team. Okay, he had part of it. He had all of summer. So why did he come in and why did he play at a very average level? Did it just change magically when Joe Brady showed up? I think a little bit. I think it definitely added a good offensive element that fit very well for Burrow. But that's not the reason why. They ended up with arguably the best college football team surrounding him. With a great offensive coordinator, a great offensive line, great offensive weapons, a phenomenal defense. Has nothing to do with how good Joe Burrow is. Come on now. So, in a take that will be archived forever, June 17th, 2020, I am in support of Baker Mayfield, and I do not support Pro Football Focus. And I think that Baker Mayfield is going to have a better season than Joe Burrow, and I think it's going to be very noticeably different. I think Baker Mayfield is still not going to reach 500, but I will side with Mayfield on this one, and the fact of Pro Football Focus is getting a bit crazy, getting a bit wild, and trying to go out and say that Joe, the rookie Burrow, is going to come in and have a phenomenal year throwing for 4,000 yards and well over 25 touchdown passes. But it is what it is. So that's really about it, as we are just over 20 minutes. I said I didn't want to get too long. I know that the past couple of shows have kind of gotten a little long. In terms of next show on Saturday, as today is Wednesday, Saturday most likely going to be the next show. Looking at most likely being at 10:05 p.m. Just got mornings have been crazy lately, so don't want to say I'm going to do the show at 11:30 and then I come on at 10:05 anyways. So I will say 10:05, and we'll roll with that. But I believe I'm most likely going to have Trace on. It's been probably about a week and a half since I've had Trace on. We're going to kind of do a little bit of NFL, a little bit of NBA, possibly MLB. Trace is a baseball fan, so we'll do a little bit of that. But that's next show. And to know about that show, you got to be following on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Switch Up Sports as well. Not Facebook. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Over on YouTube and Apple Podcast and Spotify, if you can go ahead and give a like and subscribe, as videos do get posted up to the YouTube. I'm going to be doing a little bit more segments on there. Finally got some right editing and things that I can do to make my own types of films and clips. So, as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope that you are ready for Saturday's show, as I will be bringing on Trace Moustakis and possibly bringing Raglan back. I haven't talked to him yet, though. We'll see. And then going forward after Saturday's show, we're going to be bringing on some new guests, having some new faces here to talk to. So, but as always, you got to be following us to know, to be in the know. There it is. There's the English language. There it does work. But again, as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and always, you got to go ahead and pop in your headphones and lace up your shoes. But then you got to switch up, because this is Switch Up Sports. Thank you guys so much. We will see you on Saturday as we get into some more sports talk. Take it easy and good night.